Thank you for waiting, everybody. Now for the sequel to Gone with the Wind. This movie, before I start reviewing it, I have to give a little background on this. It's two things. One, it's a made-for-TV movie, like Merlin was, or Tower of Terror, or Nick Knight, any of the movies I've reviewed previously. This movie actually came out right about the same time that Merlin did. In fact, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it actually came out in 1994. And, of course, obviously, Vivian Leigh and Clark Gable were not available at that time for obvious reasons. They were both deceased to make this movie. And, you know, this movie, of course, is based on the book Scarlett, you know, which, you know, has Joanne Whalley-Kilmer and Timothy Dalton in this movie. It's also got John Gaylord, Annabeth Gish, Julie Harris, Colm Meany, Jean Smart, Paul Winfred, and Ann-Margaret. Of course, Ann-Margaret's in this movie as Belle Watling. Belle, and I forgot to mention her in the last movie review, even though she's, well, to be polite, a streetwalker, basically a prostitute, and, you know, she runs a house of ill repute, she's, like, actually, like, the personality-wise, the dead opposite of Scarlett's character, who's just, you know, it's all about me, you know, and, you know, everything. Scarlett was written by Alexandra Ripley about the same time that this movie came out. Well, it was like a little before, in the early 90s. And I've skimmed through both this book and Gone with the Wind. They're like this thick. You know, they're very, very, very long movies. This one, like I mentioned before, is a made-for-TV movie. And Joanne Whalley-Kilmer plays Scarlett O'Hara Butler, of course, you know, and her and, you know, Timothy Dalton plays Rhett. They pick up where the other movie more or less leaves off. And I'm not going to ruin the ending of the other movie for you by blabbing on, you know, how it ends and everything. But this one basically picks up where the other movie left off, and it talks about, you know, how Scarlett tries to get on with her life after basically Rhett is just so ticked off at her because of everything that happened in the last movie, and about how, you know, he's just like, okay, you know what, I'm done with it. You know, you've just been a complete heathen to me. You know, you know, like Timothy, like Rhett Butler says, you know, or Timothy Dalton says in this movie, you know, she'll lie when it suits, Scarlett will lie when it suits her, you know, and she'll lie like the devil. But the good thing is about this movie, it actually shows Scarlett finally getting it through her thick head that, you know what, there are more important things than not only money, but, you know, being faithful to, like, your spouse, and, you know, telling the truth, and being honest, and there's just, like, a whole laundry list of things that, like, you know, she eventually, you know, gets over herself and just realizes, you know what, there are just some things that just are more important, you know, like being a good parent, or, you know, being responsible for your actions, and which, of course, in the first movie, Gone with the Wind, she couldn't do that, and just only, you know, was self-centered and thought of herself, and thought the only person that really truly mattered was her when it come down to brass tacks and everything. And the reality of the matter is that she eventually, in this movie, in Scarlett, gets her head out of her rear end and acts like an adult, and, you know, takes responsibility for her actions and stuff, which, I mean, by the end of the movie, you're like, it's about time she takes responsibility for herself, because, you know, I mean, this is a huge departure from Gone with the Wind, Scarlett is. And I do recommend this movie as well. And one of my favorite characters in this movie, other than, you know, Belle Watling is played by Ann-Margaret, is Colm Meany's character. He plays a priest in this movie, and he's the cousin of Scarlett. It's Father Terrance O'Hara. Not that I'm into Catholicism. I'm not Catholic by any means, but he actually is a very good character, you know, because he helps Scarlett out, and he, you know, is her like reality check, you know, and he's also her cousin, as I mentioned before. But I mean, I do recommend this movie, and you know, I've got some more movies to review here, so let's get reviewing, okay?